Yes, sir, this is Maserati Wes Barkley, and you're listening to the best wrestling podcast out there, Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name.
Taking your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. And they're always glad you came. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
And welcome back to Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, unless if you're a sidekick. This is Wrestling Cheers. We'd like to talk about things going on in Northeast Ohio independent wrestling scene. We preview shows, we review shows, and sometimes we even have interviews along the way. This is a review episode for episode 4, I think that's where we're at, of AIW's Go for Broke. I am your host, Justin Summers, and Wrestling Cheers is brought to you by the Trending Topics Network and Midwest Territory. Please rate, review, and subscribe to listen to this fine podcast, whether it be Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, or Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, Twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, and Instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. Email, if you so choose, desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com, and we have the merch store over at whatamaneuver.net. Like I said, this is a review for this week's episode of AIW's Go for Broke. And same cast every week. So it's myself, and we have Charly Butters.
Actually, I'm going by Baby Sid Vicious now.
Charly Butters.
What's up?
And we have Jay Gold.
No, he's the Gringo Grappler.
Don't give away my secret identity.
Anyway, this is going to be a very busy week here for AIW. We have this show, and then we have Hello Cleveland on Thursday night, and then we have Friday night. What's this? Is this something you're interested in?
Yeah.
The official hashtags for those shows, hashtag AIW Hello, I believe, and hashtag AIW Interested.
It's going to be fun. Cannot wait for that.
And if I'm correct, we'll all be there for both shows.
Yep.
So yeah, that's going to be fun for those thinking that we're going to do a preview for those shows. We're not, mainly because we don't know what's going to be on those shows. And it's really hard to speculate that. And with 2 shows in a row, with no matches announced, I'm not throwing together a preview. So this right here, these couple minutes are your preview. Or you can go to the AIW podcast because they kind of gave a preview of them. But it's also, they're not telling you any of the matches. So if you want a preview, just go to them because that's the closest you're going to get. So when we have that Hello Cleveland, are we going to finally do the, AIW chant at the beginning like crazy? Like, are we going to go nuts for that first match?
Oh, the world explodes that night on us inside the Odeon. I hope just the voices and the excitement is just through the roof. I think it's going to be, I can't even imagine when the music starts, the amount of sheer joy that's going to be, flying out of like 110 people or whatever it is. It's going to be insane. It really is.
I hope it's kind of quiet because I'm trying to take a nap there, and just leave me alone. Let me take my nap.
I'm going to be so tired. At least tired by Friday night. That's my big thing.
Yeah, you have a rough schedule for that week. I don't envy that at all.
Fucking work Thursday, go straight to the Odeon, go home, get some sleep, wake up, go to work, go straight from work to the Odeon, go home, get some sleep, go to work on Saturday, and then go home. Can't wait for Sunday.
It's worth it. It's worth it. It's been a year plus in the making. It's worth it this time.
For me, it's going to be that Saturday, like how drained I'm going to be, and I still have to work one more day. But then I get to come.
I'll be back on the road for 6.5 hours Saturday morning.
But then I get to come home and watch the life of Jeff Cannonball on IWTV.
Is that debuting on Saturday?
Yeah, May 1st.
Nice.
I'm really looking forward to that. I think me and my fiance are going to sit down and watch that one because she loves Tara Calloway. So why not just sit down and watch it together? I think it's going to be great.
Absolutely.
And what else is next on IWTV, Charlie?
What do you want for tomorrow? What you're looking for? I'll tell you. Probably tell you.
'Cause you didn't have a podcast this week. A regular podcast.
Well, no. We did the didn't have a regular review this week. We had Cabana Mandan on, so.
All right, let's get to this Go for Broke episode. Charly Butters, how do we start off?
All right. Got our usual recap and then our leaderboard.
And what was that leaderboard?
I didn't write down every single person on the leaderboard, dude. That's now you're getting ridiculous. We know that the Duke and Eric Taylor are at top with 1,500 Biggins bucks, and then there's like 10 people that have 1,000, and then you got Mikey Montgomery with 500 bucks.
And suspiciously, or maybe not suspiciously, but missing is Marino Tenaglia and Philly Collins, two other guys who two biggest names on that are not on the leaderboard with no money. Just keep that in mind as we go along.
Yeah, that'll be something we'll tap into here shortly, but we'll get to towards the end of the episode. All right, what was after the leaderboard?
We had a Wes Barkley vignette.
Now, Wes Barkley, I wrote down, he is, the perfect blend of Bobby Heenan and Jimmy Hart and several big talkers. He is by far the best talker in AIW. It just cements it. Every time you see him, he's very natural. It just kind of flows out of him, and that's really cool to see. And the vignette just kind of cemented the fact that this guy, I mean, he's young. This kid can talk, and he can talk with the best of them. And I look forward to when they give a microphone to him. So that was an entertaining vignette and a good look at him.
Is he the best talker in AIW?
In my opinion, yes.
I mean, he's lucky that, guys like MJF and Eddie Kingston have moved down to Jacksonville, and I don't know if we want to consider Josh Prohibition part of the roster, because I don't think he's on the active roster on the website. But at the same time,
I mean, current guys. I mean, there's nobody who's better than him.
That's where I was kind of like walking the line with J Pro, because it's like, is he current? Is he not current? Questionable status. So taking those three off the board. Yeah, I don't know anybody who I could one person. There's one person who might be better. And Josh, he's your favorite on these episodes.
Who, the Duke?
Yeah, the Duke.
The Duke tonight was masterful with the mic, so to speak. He was masterful riffing and in that Seinfeld bebopping and scatting all over everybody. He was everywhere. Duke is in another class.
But yeah, it's those two. I can't think of anybody else who comes close.
I mean, Brian Carson comes up very natural. He talks. He's very his voice is very smooth, and his lines come out really, like, everything he says comes out really smoothly. But he'd be next level. There's nobody up there with Wes and Duke in that level. We'll
get to Brian Carson here shortly. Butters, what are your thoughts on all that?
It was fun to kind of get that little preview of him again. For best talker, probably him, Duke. I could see. I don't know. I feel like that there definitely was a lot of people that you could put in that same realm that really aren't there now, that have moved on. So, I mean, yeah, he's probably definitely one of the top, definitely in the top 3 talkers. So,
yeah, I think that's fair. I'm wondering if anybody's going to respond back on whether they think themselves, like a wrestler says it, or whether just a listener says, like, hey, like, what about this person? I'm like, oh shit, how did I forget that person?
I mean, if we really want to break it down, I mean, Kaplan was really good tonight, so I mean, he could potentially be the number one, but just saying.
Kaplan was impressive.
Theme of this episode already. We'll talk about Kaplan later.
You know who else though? PB has had some really good stuff in these backstage segments and stuff like that so far. I think PB is definitely underrated as a talker, now that I think about it.
We'll get to PB later.
Just answering your question.
I know. There's this there's this thing about Wes where he can be just very, very smooth. I know when I had him, here in this office and I was interviewing him, there was just something with how quick on his feet he was on like certain answers and just like certain like things he would say. Like I would think like, are you coming up with that off the top of your head or whatnot? Just, and like getting to see a little bit more raw of that moment, like in the vignette style, I thought was pretty cool. But again, it's like what I've said about like these vignettes and AIW is I pretty much like every wrestler. So what you're going to do is you're going to make me like them even more, and that was done with Wes.
Yeah, that's what we say it is what separates this show from other these indie shows that are on IWTV is that this one is made like a television show. They're going to get you. You're going to learn the characters. You're going to learn their personalities. You're going to make your picks based on what you feel like after you see them, and then you're going to get your wrestling mixed in. So it's such a good, unique concept for IWTV. I think it's the most different show out of all of the IWTV lineup, and so it does lend itself for us to do deep dives like this because we get a chance to see these characters.
And we can't forget one thing: the show did not have a late start this week.
All Madness didn't go over this week.
No, I was so happy about that because I was just about to sit down and turn on IWTV, and I got a notification on my phone, like from IWTV, like, oh, Go for Broke's about to start. I'm like, sure. I've heard that before, and then I turn it on, and it's like, oh, here's like a show going over. Great. So now I got to watch ACH in the main event. Okay, which I like ACH, but I want my Go for Broke to start. So when I turned it on, and it was the IWTV advertisements, I was like, all right, cool, good. Good. And then like I think according to my watch, like right around 10:01, we start the show. And I'm like, awesome. We're going good. This is something I like seeing.
Yeah, just ACH laying on the mat for forever for the main event every time. He's a real aerial flyer. That guy always just laying on his back on the mat. Somehow he wins.
All right. So after the vignette, we went into our first match, which was Wes Barkley versus Marino Tenaglia. So this is, Wes Barkley's first real match, not counting that the Mass Marauder in week 1. So how'd you guys feel about this match?
Well, I have my original thought, and I put it on Twitter, was that so they're the two best tag teams in my view. It doesn't matter that you have 40 Acres. It doesn't matter that you have the Bitcoin Boys. When you have the world champ, when you have the AIW champ, and you have Wes, the world champ automatically makes them the best tag team, and then you have the best tag team in all of AIW with PME. So it really felt like those Saturday morning superstars where you get one member of the champions versus one member of the challengers, and it feels huge. You get, Beefcake and Valentine versus the Bulldogs. You get, sometimes you had the Killer Bees 1. Jim Brunzell would go up against, somebody from Strikeforce. You have, it was just a big time, big feel match to start off the show. And they kind of took me by surprise by doing it in this. I thought maybe that would be a main event, but they did it to open the show. And Thorne said combustible elements in this match. And I wrote, this is exactly how I thought a match like this should go. These are the two top talents. I know how Marino wrestles. I love how he wrestles. He's great. I haven't seen Wes spread his wings like this. And he, without him kind of, needing something in the ring or, lots of stuff going on around the match. The two of them wrestled a really technical, really good match and solidified the fact that they're the two best tag teams. And so the two competitors out of those tag teams are going to have a great match together. And regardless of the outcome, which, I was upset that Marino lost again, the match went exactly like it should go, and it was a great match, and it was very entertaining. For I think it was I don't know if we have Jayhawk's time sponsor Jayhawk, but we had, maybe 4 to 6 minutes that match went, it was great. It was great for what it was.
Unfortunately, our friend at Ref Jayhawk, you can follow him on Twitter at Ref Jayhawk, was not able to get us times this evening. So we do not have that information to share with you.
I think it was longer than that even. I think it was probably like a 12-minute match. It was pretty long. It was, like you got to see both guys really kind of lay out their arsenal. I don't know. I felt like it was too long personally. It was, I don't know. I felt like it kind of dragged for some reason, but other than that, I liked, there were certain parts of it that I really enjoyed that, they had some good like sequences and stuff. So,
and seeing Bishop like stalk the ringside and Philly on the other side, like Bishop with the belts around his waist and the jeans, just literally stalking the ring, and Philly not backing down, which is the way it should be. Philly's the tag champ. What does he have to prove? And Bishop's the champ. So the two of them should collide, and they shouldn't, and Philly shouldn't, you don't need a coward in this match. They're the two top teams. So they should be acting like top guys. And that's how they acted. And I was really impressed with Wes. I have not seen him do anything like that before. Technically, it was a smooth match. Both those guys, every move looked really good, really smooth, and I was very impressed. So, what a great way to kick off, the next episode. Get eyes to the product by showing your tag champs and your champ and his tag partner. It was great all around.
I think it was about a 12 or 13 minute match. Just going by the tweets that I sent out of, before and after, right around like 12, 13 minutes. Because I got to figure there's a little bit of delay of maybe me tweeting. So right around there.
Makes sense.
It was, Wes Barkley getting a little bit of assistance from Joshua Bishop to get the pin over Marino Taglia.
Exactly how it should have went. I'm not happy Marino lost again, but if Wes was going to win, you got to have some sort of, dust up and some sort of ref interference or back turn. Make sure you remember that Wes is the opportunist, the ultimate opportunist. And, I like that. I thought it ended the proper way.
All right. Charly Butters, what was next?
Is this where you have the time capsule toy segment commercial?
That's where I have it written down. It was between that and like the next segment that I got them later. So I couldn't remember what order, but I want to say right after the match, it might have been time capsule toys, or maybe it was after the backstage segment. I can't remember.
Yeah, sort of flip flop something. It was there. There was time capsule toys from Girard, Ohio. Check them out. Sell them your toys. And come to Toy-Hio. It's going to be a major takeover. Okay, so we had Rip City backstage celebrating and talking shit to PM, and Pretty Boy Smooth interrupts. And obviously, Wes is going to talk his shit. But PB says that he doesn't talk to sidekicks. And then he called Bishop Baby Sid Vicious. I popped for the I don't talk to sidekicks. That was fucking hilarious.
He really minimized Wes there. That was, that's how you do it. You want to go right for the champ. You go for the biggest guy in the room. And he basically pie-faced Wes verbally. Went after Bishop, and that's going to be interesting when that match does happen again.
Maybe it happens after the tournament
during. They've been throwing out matches left and right. You never know what could happen. They could have a non-title, leading up to something. So I think we should keep our eyes open. There's a lot of episodes to go.
Josh, I was leading to the fact that maybe PB wins, and then he challenges Josh for the title, and then he becomes champion again. That's what I was leading to.
I was glossing over that because he is not my pick to win.
He's not my pick to win either. I'm just giving an example.
Oh, I get it. I see where we're going with that.
You're just falling apart today.
It's a busy week. We're all fired up. We have a lot of shows to take.
This is true. Focus is not where it needs to be. We're amped about other things.
All right. And then after the backstage segment, we went into our next match. PB Smooth versus the Gringo Grappler.
Double G. Gringo. All I have here for my notes for that match was yikes. He just took a beating, and he almost put him through the mat and just almost smushed him, because that was all basically we got out of old Gringo Grappler.
This match and another match, I really want to know Jared's times on, because this was about a minute, maybe 2. Very short.
Mm-hmm.
Very short. Your thoughts on this match, Charlie?
Gotta have the squash matches, man. I like the squash matches.
Definitely keeps things interesting. Keep the scoreboard running. Get some guys some money so you know they're still really in there. The squash matches are super important. I think I especially for the big dudes. The big guys should have those type of matches. The smaller guys like maybe a Marino or Trey Lamar or an Artie Mack or one of those guys, they don't really need. They're not going to have those type of squashes, but you know, a PB, a Bishop, even Wes, yeah, whatever. But you know, those guys need people just to crush to kind of build up their power. So I like that. I think it's always that the show. It just gives you a quick look. You know who's coming, you know how they're building them, and then you kind of move on. So
basically, Pretty Boy Smooth made very easy work of the Gringo Grappler. Let's move on. What happened next, Butters?
We got a Brian.
Definitely a good look at Brian Carson. I didn't know much about him. I like him talking. He just sounds, he just is polished. He's done commentary for AIW, so I like him talking. I think he's a good foil, and the match that he had waiting with the Duke was definitely two guys who can both, talk it to make it sound big. So the vignette was a perfect way to expand a little bit on him after showing him last week.
Yeah, he even kind of alluded to like his match at the very end, like going into the match. So like it definitely felt like with these vignettes this week, they really put more of a and now the match, and they were in like the next match, which was kind of cool instead of just having like a random throughout the show and then maybe a match later on, maybe not. They kind of seemed like anytime we had a vignette of somebody, it was their match was next. So
I kind of like it when the vignettes happen and then it's that their match is later on, especially if it's like the main event.
Yeah, I think that hype works, but I think this was more of like, you saw him last week, so here's some more information on him, and then we're going to have him, come out. And I think it didn't. The vignette wasn't set up in a way that you're supposed to look at him as like, here comes the main event. You're supposed to learn about him, understand what was going on, refresh your memory from who he was from last week, and then transition right into this critical gambling match between the Duke and Brian Carson.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. There's something with having those vignettes and then being part of the main event. I think helps build of what the main event actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I could tell by your tweets, Josh, you didn't know what the main event was. I mean, none of us did, but there has been a certain format. And I felt like they broke outside of that format this week just a little bit, because I think every week there's been 4 matches. I think this week there's more.
I feel like there's a lot more. I'm looking at this list of how many matches they
5.
had. I feel like there were about six matches tonight, and 3 of them at least were main event quality. I mean, the opening match was main event quality, and then we'll get to the others. But at least these were even this Duke and Carson match that was coming on, that could have ended the show also because it had consequences. So you have a big main event where there's, the first time you get to see somebody gambling their money, and that match could have been fit right into the main event also. So, I mean, there were several high quality, high caliber, top class matches that were on tonight with stories behind them that really worked well.
Yeah, that's just one reason I think the vignette works to help hype up the main event, because I think mainly because like that's what we have in week 1 of like, well, here's Marino and here's Dom, and then like boom, main event, Marino and Dom.
I mean, I agree with you. I think though they need to be able to get these in there for the other, other guys, just so that everybody, you still have to learn about them, and you still need to use the vignettes in 2. They use them in 2 or 3 different ways. They use them to introduce new talent. They use them to hype up main events, and they use them to keep the storyline going. So I think, with this one, it was don't forget who he was, Brian Carson. Don't forget, this guy's coming, and he had a match. He has a match tonight with Duke, and Duke doesn't need any more of those vignettes. You just need to kind of refresh yourself on who his opponent is on the show every week. So, I think that's how this one worked. And then you saw something, you saw a few other things later on in the night, but for this purpose, it worked.
So I think that if we had like a normal formatted show where like we had the entire AIW roster on hand, the vignettes would work to hype up the main event, because I like that concept. However, with the limited people we have, the core group of people we're going to be interacting with on the show, not everybody's going to be a main event match. So they're not going to get those vignettes unless they have these smaller ones throughout the show where it's like, okay, here's this, and it leads into the match, breaking from the normal format. So I like both versions. I understand why they did that. But yeah, I personally, I prefer the hype towards the main event. So, but yeah, like I get both sides of that argument.
Yeah, it's a more traditionalist style. I know, I dig what you guys are saying. I can understand. I think, even if you watch Superstars on Saturday morning, or if you watch, even like tonight on NXT, they had some vignette in the middle for something. Sometimes you just need them to get people's mind right, on the talent. So I think that's what some of these were used for. Less about hyping main events tonight and more about, keeping guys top of mind. So they can work both ways. A more traditional, my way, WrestleMania type of vignette hype for the main events, that works really well when we're getting to a goal as we get closer, let's say, to the Biggins tournament. But I think for now, these are going to be very handy to keep the viewers, and even some of the older viewers, keep these guys top of mind to us so that we're ready for when they do come out.
All right, and then we got into Brian Carson's match. Brian Carson versus the Duke. This was a match that was hyped up from last week, and I thought it was going to be the main event for this week, but it's not, which is fine. It's fine. So we have Brian Carson putting his 1,000 Biggins bucks on the line versus the Duke, who's putting up his 1,500, not 2,000 Biggins bucks on the line, and also regular rules apply. So if you win, you get 1,000. So if the Duke wins, he comes out $2,000 richer, and if Brian Carson wins, he comes out $2,500 richer. How'd you guys feel about this match?
Yeah, this was a classic bad guy versus bad guy, but I will say the Bitcoin boys are really, really growing on me. They look ridiculous tonight. Mikey's sweater was absurd, but they scurried about and caused all sorts of trouble from Brian Carson. And you said it, Justin, in the preview. When you have a group, you're probably better off if you align with somebody, if you have a common goal in mind. And Duke managed to, managing the Bitcoin boys, having them at his side for every match, them all together. They're a problem. They are turning into a gigantic problem for everybody. And Duke is steamrolling his way through these shows. But yeah, I was super impressed with the Bitcoin boys on the outside, and the match was good. I mean, it was really clean again. I become more and more impressed with Duke's wrestling ability. I'm stunned that he doesn't do any more of it. I know he's in the twilight of his career, so to speak. But the Duke bomb was good, and there was a bunch of different good spots in there. And unfortunately for old Brian Carson, he took the pinfall with a lot of trickery and whatnot. But good match, really entertaining for what it needed to be, and a good way to introduce us into ways that guys are gonna wisely or unwisely gamble their money.
How about you, Butters?
I'll tell you what, man. Watching Brian Carson wrestle, it was like watching a young Bret the Hitman Hart out there. And he even put on the sharpshooter. It's amazing. And I have it on good authority, though, that Mikey did borrow that sweater from Ed, because Ed didn't want Mikey to be cold when they were recording. So that definitely happened. There was tons of interference in this match. I liked. I feel like I've seen this happen before, and I can't remember where I saw it, but I really enjoyed it. Like it made me laugh when it was happening. Like just like the giant chop with the flip flop to the back, like with the slide. Just like why it was great. It's funny.
They threw that boot around a bunch in this match. That boot never had so much use.
Right.
Hashtag defend the boot. I think that's something we need to really get on. I want the boot defended, and I want the Haas division to be a legitimate thing. I swear it could happen, and it could be amazing. And we can have a show called 305 Live.
Every match lasts 2.5 minutes.
I think I'm borrowing that from Stacy. I think he was always the one that said 3. I know he wanted like a Haas tournament, and I want to say there might have been something about their 305.
It's a lofty goal to get a bunch of 305 and up.
I mean, I don't know if we can do 305, but like just a Haas tournament or something like
265, like UFC weight classes, 265 and give or take above a little bit. I think you got your Haas tournament.
Or what we need to do is we need to get the Boar Haas tournament where the Boar has to not redeem you, but he has to say whether you're Haas or not. You have to go through his approval.
A Haas judging.
Yes. How would you feel about that, Butters?
Considering that Justin, you and I would probably end up in that tournament somehow. I am not okay with it. And I mean, I wonder if we're gonna see now that you bring up the Boar, maybe we'll see him this week. That's still thinking about this week coming up. Excited.
There's a lot of people I want to see, but I don't know whether I'm going to see them.
Well, you got 2 days, so let's hope they're there one of the days.
I'm just hoping we break the curse. We break the curse, I'll be real happy for 2021.
Dude, you're going to be there. Ethan Page isn't showing up.
I tweeted at him. That, the curse has to be broken. And I tweeted him a picture of Ethan Page. So we'll see if it happens. We can break the curse this year.
Did you at Tony Khan?
Tell you what, if we break the curse this year, that means Cleveland's going to the Super Bowl this year. That's I'm betting on. We can break the curse with Ethan Page and I being at the Odeon at the same time. Cleveland's going to the Super Bowl. I'll tell you that right now.
I mean, you should run that by me. That doesn't sound very exciting in my book. Jeez. What do I get out of this? You get Ethan Page and you in the Odeon, and it's the Cleveland Browns in the Super Bowl, and the Jets do nothing again? Come on now. You guys are killing me.
I mean, that's what's going to happen for you regardless. But,
yes, I get it.
I mean, you get Ethan Page in the Odeon as well. I mean, tell me that's exciting.
You get a high draft pick.
Lovely.
They're picking what? Is it 2?
2.
Yeah, so you could go celebrate with the team and everything because you'll be in Cleveland.
I know. I've been thinking about that. I don't think I've been any less interested in the draft because I'm going to be inside of the Odeon, so I just don't even care.
I don't think I've been less interested in a draft because my team's not total shit. Like normally, I try to.
The team's not bad. It's nice to actually have a team that can, sustainable.
I try to sit down and watch, or depending, like listen to the draft. This will be the first year I don't do any of it, but at the same time, like the Browns aren't in a position where I have to really worry about it. Like they're just going to stock up on fucking draft picks, like not getting draft picks, but they're going to just add some good draft picks to the team. That's it. And it seems like they're headed in the right direction, but we'll see how that forms come September.
My streak alive of not giving a shit about the draft. So
any more on Brian Carson and the Duke? It was the Duke getting the pin on Brian Carson. What happened next, Butters?
So we get the Duke backstage looking to collect. He goes into the green room where we see Kaplan and Dom sitting on the couch and Marino sitting there. Dom kind of has words with Duke and then leaves. And Duke goes on looking for Brian.
Duke riffing on Dom, gave him a little bit of a rib in there. Told him to go submit his water bottle as he was leaving. I'm surprised Dom didn't turn around and choke him out. I think the guys in the green room are being a little bit too kind to Duke. He comes in, he runs him down every week. There's like 8 of them in there. Kaplan was in there, Twan was in there, Marino was in there, Dom. They just beat him up. I don't know what they're waiting for, but they let him kind of rant on him, and then that led to the next match. But these guys need to start standing up for themselves a little bit. Can't let the Duke just run roughshod all over the whole show, even though I love it.
I think we're going to see that. I feel like he's making more and more enemies as every episode goes on. Eventually, he's going to cross the wrong person, and then, maybe all those other people he looks for help are just not going to be there when he needs them. So
that wrestling term, the heel has to get his comeuppance. We got to see Duke get his comeuppance.
It'll be glorious.
Well, then we had another match. Dominic Garrini versus Arthur MacArthur, student versus teacher.
And a big time match to go with it. I mean, that's another huge two. Dom is a star, and Artie's a star on his way up. And as I said, there were lots of high caliber, top class matchups tonight. And this one really cemented Dom as just a beast. He's just as an animal. He came out and just no nonsense, and Artie did his thing. Butters, I'm truly convinced each week more and more that he is just a lunatic. He comes out and he does his squats in the ring. He does that. He does his his dive through the ropes where he just walks out and does like a trust fall into a choke. I mean, come on, Artie. Only a crazy person's going to turn his back on a jiu-jitsu guy, and Dom just hangs him for a good 4 seconds, and just top quality on both guys. It was a bang. They banged each other pretty hard as far as big chops, big blows. I think Dom slapped the soul out of Artie when he was on the top rope to put him into the muscle buster. But this was a big time match that you could have seen at a show, and you'd be super excited to see these guys walk out against each other. So good on AIW for putting out something so match heavy tonight that were so many top matches.
I thought it was really interesting commentary during this. What was very, very interesting. Thorne actually mentioned how Arthur kept spending time jaw-jacking with the crowd and being a character, and how it was difficult for him to be a character in that setting when there's no crowd. Little there was, which is interesting because we talked about that on IWTV Guide during our Southern Underground Pro review. So I thought that was really interesting that kind of got brought up. That was kind of cool that we definitely could see the comparisons there. And then also John Thorne, I agreed with at one point when he mentioned that when Artie did that trust fall and Dom put him in the choke, that he should have just choked him out and then got the count out win, because that's what I would have done. I actually was hoping that's what was going to happen, because I thought that would have been way cooler than anything else. But then we got a muscle buster, which was even cooler. But still, that would have been really funny for him to do the trust fall, get choked out, just left laying on the ground, and Dom get the count out win. That'd have been kind of cool.
That was a big time muscle buster too. I don't remember the last time Dom did that, but that was big time. He had to pick a big man off that top rope and drop him, and Dom dropped him square. And I like the touch. Artie Mack was just quivering at the end. He was just convulsing from the beating he took. And you even heard Wadsworth, I think, said, "Oh, I think Artie has a neck injury or whatever." That was a sick. Dom really put a beating on him at the end there.
So. Well, I guess we know which version of Artie we're going to get after that. Because I'm telling you, he has split personalities at this point. We're going to get to it, but damn it, I'm on to something here. I feel it.
I think you are. I do think you are. I think we're getting closer to exposing him.
And I was going to say, too, both of these match participants, recent guests on IWTV Guide.
That is very, very true.
I was going to say, which one were you rooting for? But I realized you interviewed one, and Jared Jayhawk Hawkins at Ref Jayhawk on Twitter, he interviewed Arthur MacArthur.
That is correct. He did.
Artie's
been making the rounds. He's been on a lot of podcasts lately.
And he's also picked up a loss. It was Dominic Garrini getting the victory.
That's Artie's second loss. He lost to TKD And now he loses to Dom. He is not on the board yet as well.
He has taken blows to the head, out of the neck.
After this match, they said there might have been an injury. He was twitching.
Yep.
He was changing characters. His mind was switching over.
Time traveling. He was coming back to us.
Yep, that's what it was. His brain was coming back from wherever
it is that he wears that bowler and the fur leopard skin. He was coming back from it. It's like, I gotta go, everyone. I'll be back later.
Well, it's like Quantum Leap. He just keeps leaping back and forth to two bodies.
Maybe that's what he is.
Maybe.
He's Scott Bakula.
Yeah. We're so close to figuring it out, man. We're so close, Jake Gold.
We will. Maybe we can ask him when we see him.
All right, Butters, what happened next?
We got Brian Carson backstage, very upset that he lost. Duke shows up. He tells Duke he's not going to pay him, and he tries to leave, but the Bitcoin boys cut him off. Again, Mikey is wearing the sweater that Ed gave him, and they have some weapons. This Carson ends up paying up, and so Duke now has lots of money.
But don't sleep on Duke's Warriors reference where he was yelling, "Carson, come out and pay!" I love that.
he had some very good one. Like I don't have enough time to write all this stuff down, but he had that, and then he also like basically told Carson like, "Don't be the person like that you something about like don't be the person that you are, like be the person that I think you want to be," or something like that to pay him up.
Yes.
That's some good lines. So
Duke is running it. He's running things. He's the MVP. He certainly is. And Carson, I think they also gave you a little Easter egg because Carson was like, "I'm not paying you. You did it. You guys, did it illegally." And then was it Duke or I think it was Mikey who was like, "That's the rules. You put the money, you put it up, and there's no, there's no rules on the match how you lose. If you lose, you lose." And I think that was a good way to set that up, knowing, hey, you're gonna whatever you do, if you enter into this contract to do something Biggins buck and you lose, you're either gonna lose your money or the other guy is gonna win the money no matter what, or you're gonna lose whatever you had, or someone could steal it. So there's not much ramification that there could be for cheating in a match. As long as you win, you're gonna get the bucks, and when the time runs out, whoever has them, that's it. So Brian Carson there was like a moment where he kind of realized what he did, and then he paid up. And I think that was kind of cool, a cool little nugget there to like think about. Like guys are going to do things like this and really need to understand the consequences of putting their money up, against other people. There is no way to recoup that. You're going to lose it, and then you're going to have to try to build up your money again.
I kind of want to see somebody bet their money now and not pay up.
See, I thought that might have happened, and then they had the Bitcoin boys come in from behind him. But there definitely has to be some sort of, a transaction where somebody snags their money and runs off with it, or you left maybe Duke left his money in his boot and somebody found it sitting in the in the locker room and they pulled out a few bucks. Something like that has to happen because they make it known every week you're responsible for keeping your own money and your own numbers. So. We should get ready to see things like that. This was just a nice little taste of what could come.
So that segment didn't end with just that. The Duke and the Bitcoin boys are walking away after that. They run into PME. They go back and forth a little bit. Obviously PME offers the titles at first, but then we end up with a tag match next week where if the Bitcoin boys win, they get a guaranteed tag team title shot.
So you're basically making your own matches. That's what Go for Broke is. The guys are putting together ways they're all trying to get matches so they can get money. So I love the fact that you didn't need, you didn't have to hear Philly go like, "Oh, we'll check with AIW management," or John Thorne needs to make this match happen. I love the fact that these guys are making matches, and as Steve Guy says in the beginning with the rules and what they put out with the rules all the time is that you have to fight as many times as you can to try to get as much money as you possibly can. So PME could sit there and be like, "You know what, you guys tick this off. We're going to go do this next week. Someone's going to win money. And, if you guys win, you'll get a tag shot. what's there to lose in this situation? And that's the perfect way to run it. These guys are trying to get as many matches under their belts so that they can win money as they can. So I like the fact that, PME is not afraid and they'll go right ahead and book a match like that.
I mean, if they needed approval, technically, commentary has the owner and the president, but I don't know that when you throw in like the whole logic of who's running it or who's making the matches, then like wrestling can get really weird.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, and let's move on to our next match. We had the Production versus Frankie Flynn and Razor Sharp. And this match, I wish Jared was keeping time on because I want to know the official time.
Oh boy. That was that match got away from old Frankie and Razor quickly, didn't it?
23 seconds, I'm going to guess, if that.
Ziggy pushed Razor into Frankie. Frankie falls out of the ring. Razor's on the ground, and then Derek unleashes a angelic from the heavens second rope moonsault where he kind of hung up there for a second and said hello into the camera, turned around and landed squash on old Razor. And that was that. Quick $1,000 $500 to each participant. Now Ziggy's on the board. Summers, I think he'll be happy about that. And I'm happy that Derek is going to climb up a little more. And unfortunately, Frankie and Razor don't crack the this week. But Derek really did just unleash a crazy moonsault on top of Razor.
What were your thoughts on this match, Butters?
Yeah, it was super duper quick. I'm glad that we got Ziggy on the board now, and it'd be interesting to see if maybe her and Mikey end up having a match with the only two that have $500.
I'm all for Ziggy getting more matches. So yeah, the Production picked up a very, very quick win. Could that be the quickest win and go for broke so far?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't even think the squashes. I think the squashes went a little longer. I think this one could have been the quickest.
I think most of those actually had people like fight back. This was literally like boom, boom, done. So I feel like it's had to be under 30 seconds. This had to be the quickest.
I know tweeting it. Let me double check the difference. I have a 2-minute difference, but we're talking, it was so fucking quick. Like I tweeted it and then seconds later it was done.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Nothing really much else to say about that match. But what happened next, Butters?
All right. So Kaplan saying he was upset that he didn't have a match and he'd just been sitting around, and he threw a White Claw, and Arthur stepped up and said, somebody bought those for everyone. Kaplan asked who the hell he was, and Arthur responded that he was the strongest man in all the goddamn land.
No accent this time for old Artie Mac, though, I noticed.
Telling you, man, like he's a mental time traveler. He's just all over. And
he left his accent in the White Claw can.
Kaplan asked him if he had any clothes on underneath the jacket, which was fucking great.
He didn't have a microscope.
Oh my god.
I fucking love Kaplan, and I think when I had him on, like he would have those kind of like one-liners, like when it was me, him, Frankie, and Carson. So seeing it in like that fucking segment just had me dying, fucking laughing, and like it's up there for this episode just as much as I don't talk to sidekicks.
I think Cap he did some good. He said some good things too. He was I got myself in shape for this, and I'm looking for he was looking for a fight, and that'll be good to see if they roll it into next week. See Artie and Kaplan go at it. I know Kaplan's only been in the ring once. So, I think it's time for him to get back out there. I was thinking the same thing about Dom also, that Dom wasn't only had one match. It's already episode 4 and guys are coming up the board. And of course, Dom then goes out there and wrestles. So I hope to see Kaplan get some more matches under his belt, starting with next week.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some more people like we haven't seen Twan really since in a match. So I think we'll see him again probably next week. He's probably due for a match.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a handful of guys I think we're going to see next week. We might be able to start kind of figuring out from who we haven't seen in the last 2 weeks. They're probably due for another match as time goes on. So that could be interesting.
Riley Rose, he's due for another shot.
Yeah, he is. Maybe it'll be Riley Rose and Twan Tucker. I don't know.
Yeah, been a few weeks since we've seen Riley Rose. First 2 episodes, and now we haven't seen him in 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He just must not be hanging around backstage enough.
So in the middle of that happening, we see Trey and PB cut through on their way to the ring, and then we got a commercial.
Which was once again great, the J-Lit 2019 commercial. I kind of hope they do more commercials like that. Maybe not necessarily doing the ECW style, because obviously with Filthy Tom Lawler, I get the reference. But just like, let's make some commercials for some Absolutions.
You're just giving Steve Guy all kinds of extra work. He's going to hate you for that.
I'd like to see them get some sponsors in there. There's a reason why some of these places, that have worked with them for so long shouldn't sponsor some of these segments. But who knows? It's tough times, and it's hoping for the best there for them. So I'm hoping that they get some sponsors in there to show, to back them up. But the ECW style commercial that they do for that is very cool.
Well, I think what sucks is, they had this nice stream of sponsors for the longest time. And then when COVID hit and, they started we finally were getting back around to getting stuff. And, Angelo's isn't there anymore. And we're, Pollyanna closed up shop last summer. So, I mean, a lot of the sponsors that you would think to see that were constant sponsors of AIW just aren't there anymore. They've really taken a hit when it comes to sponsors. So I know they got that new one that's going to supply some food for this upcoming 2 shows that they announced on the card is going to change. So that's cool. Hopefully they get some more because, yeah.
Be nice. It would be nice to see more of that.
Yes.
Maybe from the Eptide Treatment Center. Nope, not them. What other former sponsors did they have that?
What happened to Brew Nuts?
That was, I think, more of a location thing because how close Brew Nuts was to Mount Carmel.
Okay.
Now, I don't think it necessarily would make much sense. I'm not even, were they actually a sponsor?
No, I mean, didn't they do an after party there once or a pre-party there? So I was just wondering if maybe they would poke their heads in, but that's just, everybody has it tough right now. So who knows?
Yeah, it was a pre-party because you could walk to Brew Nuts from Mount Carmel.
Yeah, that's how the first show I ever went to was at Gauntlet, and we went to Brew Nuts first, and then we walked over. Yeah,
I was too crazy about keeping my spot in line, so I never went.
Fun place. Beer and donuts, real fun.
Well, I've heard good things about the donuts. Everybody always talked about that, and everybody always talked about Happy Dog. Because the one big thing for a Happy Dog is getting, which I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's a hot dog with Fruit Loops on it. That's it.
Yeah, I'm out.
I mean, you could get a hot dog with SpaghettiOs on it because that's what I did. So, just saying, they got a lot of their cool stuff there.
Everybody talks about the Fruit Loops one. For SpaghettiOs on hot dog sounds fine, but the idea of having the Fruit Loops is intriguing. I still want to try Cinnamon Toast Crunch and apple juice. Because Alex Kane has talked about that a lot.
Is that you mean eating your cereal with apple juice?
Yeah.
Huh.
When you think about it, it makes sense. A lot of people just go juice and milk. I mean, juice and cereal, that's gross. But apple juice and cinnamon toast crunch, so that apple cinnamon mix kind of makes sense. It's kind of
that are on drugs. That is what you're talking about right now. That's goofy crackheads are coming up with this shit. Those things do not go together. Stop it. It's like pizza and applesauce. Stop it.
Did you
get help?
Did you tell that to Alex Kane when you interviewed him?
I didn't say anything to Alex Kane like that because I respect that man. See how big that man is? He suplexes people my size like they're nothing.
He's the one that talks about it. He is adamant about it, and to me, it makes sense. And I don't give a damn if people don't like applesauce in pizza. To me, or I should say pizza and applesauce. I love it. I don't eat it a lot, but it has a little bit of nostalgia for me. But hey, I'm not forcing everybody to fucking eat it. But I think Cinnamon Toast Crunch and apple juice sounds interesting. Those, when you think about it, they go together. I can understand not getting pizza and applesauce, but cinnamon and apple, like, duh.
Therapy is what y'all need.
Please tweet that at Alex Kane.
Once again, I will not do such a thing.
I'll do it for you.
Says, no, you won't.
Let's not upset anybody. What do you say? It's a happy week. Let's not get anybody too upset.
Shit.
Alex Kane's gonna show up on Thursday or Friday, and Chad's gonna be like, "Oh fuck."
Well, then I'm gonna have to get suplex because I'm gonna tell him he's wrong and he's crazy. I guess I don't know.
All right. After the J-Lit 2019 commercial, we then went into the main event. Philly Collins versus Trey Lamar. What were your thoughts on this, J Gold?
So this is another one of those. Main event. The 3 or 4 main event style caliber matches. I'm super excited to see these two guys go at it because honestly, I don't ever see Philly wrestle a lot of singles matches. I've seen a lot of Trey Lamar singles matches. Your tag champs, best way to showcase them. My problem is less with the match and more with the finish. I was a little upset that the tag champs lost. Both guys lost tonight. It was a great match. I mean, Philly has a mean streak to him in the ring, and he's got a smoothness to him that really works for him. He's as we said before when they showed his vignette and everything, he's the quintessential babyface, but also he can be very serious in the ring. Not bad guy serious, but like intense the way you want it to be. Like, hey, I'm rooting for this guy. I get to see this guy really, where he's going to go out there and he's going to give 100%. He doesn't take shortcuts. He's going to work really hard, and Philly really does that. I was a little disappointed so far in the show, only that the tag champs have not won a match. And that's a problem. They're your tag champs. Those guys technically shouldn't be losing regardless of who you're putting them up against. They're the tag champs. So it upset me that he lost in a story type of way, which is good. I mean, that's what you want. You get that emotion. But the match itself was terrific. It was a great way to end the show. And it solidified the card tonight, which was, really, really good of all top quality matches, a few squashes in there, but top quality matches. And for the wrestling fan of technical wrestling, you had a card that you could really sink your teeth into tonight, and the main event really solidified it.
I mean, Thorne on commentary kind of gave you a reason why, the tag team champions would lose, because they're used to tag team competition and they're not necessarily used to the one-on-one competition. Yeah,
that was a nice point by him. And I think that kind of makes sense. I mean, that's why they haven't been successful so far in singles matches. I mean, yeah, obviously Trey and PB have been a team and stuff like that, but Trey also does a lot of singles wrestling. So does PB.
I mean, if you watch old wrestling, a lot of times a punishment that an evil GM would do to one of the wrestlers would be like, you're going to go one-on-one tonight with one of the tag team champions. And then the tag champs come out and beat you up. Like, my only opinion on that is they're your tag champs, regardless of if they only tag together. They have to be top level talent to even win the tag titles. So if they're going to break off, there's got to be an understanding that your tag champs are also amazing wrestlers and they have to win. But that's such a nitpick on my part. I love the match. I get what they're doing with these guys. So that's fine. I like that the tag champs are in the go for broke. Bishop really is not in there looking for biggins bucks. So it's cool to see that your tag champs are going to go singles and try to win money to get into this tournament. And that would be kind of intriguing to see the two guys wrestle each other, as like a way to get money. But I just wanted to see that one of them win tonight. So, just a small nitpick on that, but the match itself was terrific and the finish was great. Trey's Lion Tamer is sick.
I've seen a lot of old wrestling shows, and Teddy Roosevelt has done none of those things.
Well,
I mean, how much has Teddy Roosevelt really done, though?
Are we talking about the president?
Yeah, he's in old wrestling.
Oh,
You said you've watched a lot of old wrestling, so I figured you knew about Teddy Roosevelt.
I did not. I'm not LaBelle and Gotch and all those guys. I'm just talking about the 80s, maybe the early 90s. Just the setup there. Those older fellas are a little bit out of my league.
Oh, the reference is still going over Jay Gold's head. Jay Gold, we're talking about old wrestling, the company.
Oh, good Lord. All right, we'll edit that out in post.
This isn't.
Yeah, Justin's gonna have hands full with edits this week.
This isn't Pod Van Dam.
So if you're listening to this, it's Saturday because it took Justin 5 days to edit. Hope you enjoyed the week in Cleveland.
No, don't take me that long.
Well, I think it in general was a good way to end the show. No vignettes though to end the week. This week it just kind of the show ended at the pinfall. So
yeah.
that was a different way. They didn't give you anything to kind of chew on for next week, except for some of the interactions that were going on during the episode. But nothing. No Marvel after credits, no anything like that this week to kind of get your hype up.
There was no Mephisto.
Nope.
No Mephisto.
No Mephisto on this episode.
Oh, we did get a new suit though. This main event match though, I didn't really speak too much on it. It was really good. The length was like, this was perfect for a main event. This actually felt like a main event. Everything flowed real well, and I think that this was probably my favorite match this week. More fisherman suplexes, please.
Those are always fun.
There might not have been a backstage thing to end it, but we did get official confirmation during the match that PME versus Bitcoin Boys will be the main event next week.
Yes.
Yep. He did announce that. All
right. Any final thoughts on this episode, Jay Gold?
No, it was a different episode this week. It felt different. I watched it tonight almost like a appetizer to Thursday and Friday of this week. I love the big profile, the high profile matches. I love that. I love trying to figure out who could win the match. When you put two guys against each other, when you put Wes and Marino, when you put Dom and Artie, you put Trey and Philly and Duke and Carson, you really, any of those matchups could have gone the other way. So I like wrestling when you can't predict who's going to win the match. And I thought this week they did that really, really well. And it turns out that, it was a great way to satisfy that wrestling itch for in the beginning. Raw is terrible most of the time. NXT is okay. I don't watch AEW that much, and I'm not going to watch SmackDown. So it was a great way to get some wrestling in on a Tuesday night. Again, I love Tuesday nights at 10. It's the perfect slot for it, and gives me something to look forward to as we go into the week.
How about you, Butters?
Another fun episode, and I want more.
A man of many words. I really got not much to add to that. Kind of the same thing. I like where we're going. I like what we're building, and always excited for next week's episode. Any final thoughts or last minute plugs before we go, Jay Gold?
Nope. See you guys on Thursday. I really I look forward to everyone at the Odeon and feeding off that energy. And look forward to seeing the guys really put on a great show. Jay Gold 12 on Twitter. And if when I see you at the Odeon and on the streets of Cleveland, I hope we can give each other hugs and enjoy the time. So, looking forward to it, fellas.
Butters.
So this week, if you see me at the shows, the password is Mephisto and you can get some stickers. So if you see me at the shows, use the password Mephisto and get some free stickers.
That's all I got. Do you want to throw your other IWTV plugs and blah, blah, blah?
Yeah. I'll get all that in here. Okay, so also if you want to check out an interview on the way to the show after you get done listening to this and you still got some time in the car, I just did an interview with Cabana Man Dan that is available right now on IWTV Guide. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Charly_Butters. And you can find my podcast on Twitter and Instagram at IWTV Guide.
And of course, you can find myself on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, much like you can find this show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Facebook.com/Wrestling Cheers, Twitter.com/Wrestling Cheers, Instagram.com/Wrestling Cheers. Email, if you so choose desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com, and we have the merch store over at whatamaneuver.net. Like I said earlier in the show, please rate, review, and subscribe your ever listen to this fine podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, or Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com, and you can find all the links for all the social media and every place you can find the show in our link tree in this episode's show notes. You can also check out our friends on the Trending Topics Network, such as All Beer Inside, Eurovision Showcase, The Spanish Announce Table, and Wrestling with Altitude. Check out our other podcast friends, such as Pod Van Dam, Super Fantastic Podcast, It's Evolution, Baby, The IndieCast, Sobros Network, Biff Radio, Off the Hop Rope, GameWorks Podcast, We Like Sports Podcast, Powerbomb Jitsu, The Spotlight Series, Fully Posable, Doing the Favor, Positively Pro Wrestling, IWTV Guide, At Odds with Wrestling, Best in the World Podcast, Marks with Mikes, Dark Match Podcast, and Porch Talk. Check out our other non-podcasting friends such as Thrift Store Jobber, The Savage Stash, The Mystery Men, Redline Radio, Mouse's Wrestling Adventures, VHS Party Tonight on Instagram, Happy Hour with Steve Guy, The Co-Host Wrestling Show, Good Company, Toy Hio, Time Capsule Toys, Stay Tough, Smokin' Jay's Barbecue, Wrestle Void, Midwest Territory, Southern Underground Pro, and the official graphic designer of Wrestling Cheers, Moy Boy Designs. That will do it for us here on Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, especially if we need a microscope. Later.
It's the Wrestling Cheers. Get up on your feet, brightening your day in the middle of the week. And you gotta love the show. Yeah, you know it holds a title for the best podcast talking wrestling in Ohio. Finishing a cold one, take a load off. We ain't all about the prohibition like Josh, so we cheers. And then we sit back. Other shows are in the trash, kinda like they Nick Stapp. Like the name is Matt Justice, wearing all the gold. Wrestling Cheers is coming to a close. The #1 podcast going in the game. And one day everybody's gonna know the name. It's the Wrestling Cheers. This is Platinum Max, signing off. Ohio, good night. The world, good night. We love you. We'll see you next week.